How is the Internet of Things being applied to green technologies? And are you curious about what else is going on out there? Then make sure you listen to this entire episode of the Green Business Impact podcast, where I'm joined with my incredible guest, Tiffany Nielsen from IoT Marketing, as we talk about some of the amazing speakers that they have planned for the Green Things Summit and why you should attend. So make sure you stay tuned for this entire amazing episode. All right, Tiffany. So we are going to focus a lot today around the Green Things Summit, but the summit is really just a part of a series of webinars and media that you guys create as part of IoT Marketing. So I'd love to just start off with a little background into IoT Marketing, and then we can dive more into the summit.
IoT Marketing, prior to the pandemic, was using trade shows to help our clients get their messages out. And mostly IoT and technology companies, high tech, where we've got a lot of deep industry knowledge, which is our specialty. And when I saw the pandemic approaching, I suggested that we pivot to webinars because I thought it was going to be a great way to keep the technology ecosystem connected and also be a resource for people that were going to need these connected solutions now more than ever before. And rather than just focus solely on IoT, we decided to expand upon that and really talk about what's happening in each industry and their objectives for using technology, some of the challenges that each industry is facing, provide some technologies and connected solutions that could solve some of those challenges, and then provide forward-looking thoughts. So we've covered 29 different industries up to this point. And we've had some phenomenal speakers, and we wanted to expand upon that. We've done a couple that were green related. We did Going Green with IoT and the Shift to Earth 4.0, but we've also covered manufacturing, transportation, logistics, data security, space, retail, travel, fintech, crypto, all of it. So a lot of different topics, but we got a great response from our green related webinars, and we wanted to expand upon those and turn it into an all-day summit, which is what we're doing this year with our Green Things Summit.
That's awesome. And who do you have coming on to the summit this year?
This year, we have an incredible lineup. So we have Sturi Gamatham from Shell, and her session is going to be about smart transportation and smart infrastructure and what's happening around EVs and going electric, which is really exciting. We have Rob Tiffany, who's talking about agriculture 4.0 and all of the dynamic shifts happening around agriculture. So that's going to be a great session. We also have one on drones in the energy sector from Richard O'Hearn. We have Bill Pugh, who's a smart city expert, and Scott Bryson from Orbital Farms that's talking about how aerospace strategies could be used here on Earth. And we also have Vince Bradley from Abundant IoT talking about EIoT and how IoT can be used to monitor energy and how they incorporate blockchain. We also have several others. Alaric Overbay, who's talking about vertical farms in his Green Side Up Farms. We also have Matt Samuelson from Triodos, and he's talking about Edge and how that's empowering a greener future. I'm doing a keynote on green technology strategies, and our CEO and founder is doing a keynote, Johannes Beekman, on AIoT for sustainability, and that's AI and IoT combined. We also have Silentium talking about network cloaking and why a data hack and cybersecurity prevention is key for a greener future. And we also have Aichen Cheng, and she's talking about the next big thing in decarbonization, climate tech, and the energy transition. We have John Thomas talking about investments for green. Natalie Grolemans talking about sustainability and circular economy and zero waste. We've got Stacy Sherman, and she's talking about customer experience in the green economy. And yeah, it's going to be a great summit. So lots of speakers.
Yeah, so many of those sounded really cool. And I can't wait to attend some of those because they're going to be really interesting to be able to hear from these amazing speakers. So that'll be a lot of fun. And for the summit, what kind of format is it going to be and how can people attend? Or what is that going to look like?
So like most of our webinars, the opening session will be streamed free and they can register on our website, which is iotmktg.com. And so that'll be open to the public. And if they want to attend the full day of different sessions, that'll be in the form of fireside chats, keynotes, training sessions and breakout rooms, they can do so by buying tickets. And those are also available on our website. And there's lots of opportunities for networking. They can host one-to-one meetings, network with others. There's a chat. And if you buy a ticket, you get access to all the content for 30 days.
That's awesome. And what is your hope for people who register for the summit? What is your hope for them to take away from this amazing event?
It's a great opportunity to network with others. So we definitely encourage that. But it's also a huge learning experience. So we want to generate awareness for what's happening and what kind of technology strategies should be put in place as we move forward into a greener future. And so really we want to be a knowledge base for anyone looking to expand their mind on what's happening around ESG, sustainability, agriculture, climate tech. There's so many things happening that we really just want to be that resource that has it all in one place for them.
Yeah, that's really cool. And so these speakers and these different events that are going to happen during the day, are they going to be live during the summit that day? And then are they going to be available afterwards for people that register? And then are they going to be put anywhere else, or how is that going to work?
They can access the content for 30 days after the event ends if you have tickets. If you are just registering for the opening session, you'll have to attend live to view that content. And so that takes place April 27th from 10 to 11 a.m. Pacific. And there'll be clips of it online, but in order to get the full experience, we definitely suggest that you get your ticket to it.
Yeah, definitely. And what is your hope for the speakers who are going to be able to speak at this event? What is your hope for them to be able to come to the event and tell their story?
We've had such powerful speakers and dynamic conversations in our previous webinars. But when we cap it at 90 minutes up to 2 hours, it doesn't really give them enough time to go into detail about a lot of this information that's really vital, especially right now with everything that's happening with our climate and all of the changes taking place. So this just gives them a platform to really be able to expand upon the different information that they want to share and go into greater detail. And there's also the opportunity for Q&A. So people can actually ask questions and get answers that they're looking for when it comes to these important topics.
Yeah, definitely. Is there one session that you're particularly excited for during the event?
I'm really excited about the opening session because it really sets the stage for what's happening throughout the entire day of the event and what's happening in general in regards to our climate and different green initiatives and all of the sustainable development goals. We have several people that'll be talking from experience and their work with the UN and different green initiatives. So I think that's going to be great. And it's nice because we'll be able to tie all that together with Scott Bryson, who's really talking about how all of these different space strategies can be put into place on the Earth. And with the way that things are going at 1.5 degrees Celsius, we're getting pretty close to it. So if everything goes haywire on Earth, it's going to be really important that we take what's happening in space and have a plan to be able to put that to action on our planet.
Definitely. There's so many things out there that we can learn from going into space, that the whole reason why we do space exploration is so that we can benefit here on Earth. It's not just about how far can we go to the moon, can we go to Mars, can we do this? There's so much to learn that we can apply back to Earth. Like when early explorers, they went out in the 1600s and started exploring around the world, they learned so much and were able to take back so much that it's the whole society back in Europe and took us out of the Dark Ages. It took us into the Renaissance because of the fact that they were able to go out and start doing this exploration and start bringing back so many new cultures and so much going on out there. And so when we go out into space, we can learn so much that we can then apply back to Earth. So that's definitely a very exciting session. I'm super excited for that. I know there's going to be opportunity for networking. What is that going to look like? Do you have a chance for one-on-one chats with other people? What is that opportunity for people attending?
Sure. Yeah, there's definitely opportunities for one-to-one chats, one-to-one meetings with sponsors. They can also go through and take a look at the agenda and what's happening and really create a schedule for themselves and get alerts when speakers and brands that they're following go live. And then they can also revisit that content later. They can also fill out more information so that they can get paired with information that is like their profile. So some really interesting search optimization there, or we can suggest content to them. And they can also attend different breakout sessions where they can go further in asking questions and get downloadable materials. So lots of learning opportunities.
That's really cool. How many people did you have attend the event last year?
This is our first Green Things Summit, but typically our webinars, we have about 1,500 to 2,500 people that attend our live events.
That's great.
From 118 countries.
Wow, that's amazing. A lot of different dynamics. That'll be really great. Do you think you guys will be doing another Green Things Summit next year if things go well?
Definitely. We did a Summit of Things event last October where it focuses more on the technologies themselves. This is our first Green Things Summit, but I definitely foresee us doing another one next year.
Yeah. And how did you first get involved with IoT marketing, focusing more on your side of things? How did you get into IoT marketing, started working with Johannes, and what is your hope for IoT marketing in the future?
I met Johannes at a trade show, commonly enough. And I also met Cynthia, she's the other co-founder, Cynthia Baker. And prior to working with IoT marketing, I was working for another company that was IoT, and they were creating the world's smallest cellular module. And that's where I really got fast tracked to everything happening with IoT. I didn't even know what the Internet of Things was prior to that. And it was just a blast of information. And every time that I think I have a handle on it, it's such a deep abyss because the IoT is just running quietly in the background all the time of everything, collecting information. And it's truly a fascinating technology. And so when I was at a trade show for my former employer, I had met Cynthia and Johannes at a trade show, and I had shown them some of the different initiatives that I was working on. And they said, you ever have the chance, we would love to have you at IoT Marketing. And I took them up on it. And we also offer end-to-end marketing services as well as PR and production. So we can help people make their own custom webinar, podcast, or virtual event, or assist them with what they currently have in place. We also help different companies who are looking for lead generation by creating content via whether that's blogs or website information, to infographics, slide decks, pretty much anything that they would need to help get their message across, we can help them create. We do graphic design and all different kinds of production. So we're very diverse in our capabilities and very experienced on the production front. And we always like to make it an experience whenever possible. So that's why people keep coming back for more of our webinars and virtual events. We also do an Industry Insights IoT Awards every December. So that's another one of our big events that really helped position us as one of the leaders in this industry when Disney said they wanted recognized for all of the works they'd been doing in their parks during COVID. Those are a few of our initiatives that we have going on and what we can do for our customers, clients, and the audience that watches all of our content.
Yeah, that's great. For the Green Things Summit, what is this one for?
I would suggest that anyone that's looking to gain a better understanding of what's happening in the energy sector with renewables, with smart transportation, ESG, sustainability, agriculture, anyone that wants to know more about technologies such as IoT, AI, blockchain, and also telecom and technology ecosystem professionals, industry professionals from any of these industries that are impacted by these new technologies that are really looking to gain a deeper understanding, students, teachers, professors, researchers, analysts, policymakers, government officials, investment bankers, and wealth management professionals, venture capitalists, anyone like that would really get a lot of value from this content.
Definitely, because I see them being able to understand what's going on out in the market. How can different green technologies apply to what their industry is individually, look into what's really out there and be able to understand that and be able to get some one-on-one time and talk to people in depth on certain topics and how they can apply different technologies. Definitely really exciting.
To that note, I'd just like to mention that in so many of these industries, and even in this, it's such a siloed approach that really people are supposed to be focused on one thing and they don't have a chance to really look at the big picture. And that's what we've been able to do in all of our webinars. And that's one of our big aims to do with the Green Things.
That's great. And I wanted to ask earlier about IoT marketing. Have you guys worked with people in the green industries before?
Yes, we did the Going Green with IoT webinar where we talked about IoT specifically and some of the different applications that it's being used for to promote green initiatives. It's got a lot of applications when it comes to agriculture and also when it comes to smart buildings, because the more that you can monitor what's happening with energy efficiency and those type of initiatives are definitely things that IoT can really help with, as well as energy monitoring for, let's say, oil and gas, for renewables. All of those things can really operate a lot more efficiently when you can collect data about them and make data-driven decisions. And then we did the shift to Earth 4.0 last year, which was great because as we look at how all of these new technologies are being rolled out, are they actually helping the environment? And as much as I would love to say, yes, it's not as simple as that. There has to be a balance because while blockchain, for example, and especially when it comes to Bitcoin's pretty energy intensive and it breaks a lot of power from the grid. And so when we look at the shift to Earth 4.0, how is our grid going to sustain as all these new technologies are put on it and we're using more and more energy with more and more people on the earth? How do we keep this balance? And so that was more of the conversation for our Shift to Earth 4.0 webinar. And it was a really important conversation. And those are some of the green related topics that we've covered in the past.
Yeah, that's great. And it gives a good teaser for this Green Thing Summit coming up. So that's really good. So when you're working with people in the green industries, what do you feel has been in terms of marketing? What has been the most successful thing that you've seen in the green industries, things that have been successful? Or have you seen how IoT has been able to help in terms of green industries and apply it in that way?
I think one thing that's important to differentiate is that there's greenwashing, where companies are saying the right things that are green, and then there's green technologies, and then there's green technology strategies. And all those things are slightly different and they all have different meaning. But when you have solutions that are truly green, that you can bring awareness to, then that's what's really going to make the impact. With, let's say, ESG and the carbon credits, if we're just moving credits around and we're not doing anything to really help the bigger problem, which is decarbonization, which is one of the topics that we'll be talking about during the Green Thing Summit. The decarbonization is what needs to happen, not just moving around credits. I think that it's important the different marketing of these technologies, that they do their best to really get the awareness out there for what it is that they're solving. And so that's why we're really excited to do this. One of the companies that we're going to be featuring is 3D Solar, and they have 3D printed solar panels. So when it comes to being truly sustainable, there's a lot of chemicals and raw materials that need to be harnessed in order to create a traditional solar cell. But with this strategy, it's definitely a new strategy and it's something that's truly sustainable. So we're excited to promote something like that during the Green Thing Summit.
For sure. And there's so much too when companies are accused of greenwashing. It can often be, sometimes people like to think that, oh, they're coming from this like evil, malicious place. Oh, I'm going to just say that this is green and when it's really not. And I know for a fact that it's not, but I'm just going to say it anyways. I think there's a lot too of people, they're trying to do the best thing and they might be even going out there in the market and asking the community out there and trying to understand what's the best initiative for them. And then they try to come to a conclusion, not really having the full scope and understanding, and then they're putting something out there and ended up being, oh, this isn't as green as we had hoped, or it's becoming more of a problem. And I think one good example of this is an airline did a movement where they switched all of the plastic water bottles that they were using, and they were like, oh, we're going to do this really green thing. We're going to do something that's not plastic, right? So we're going to switch to boxed water. And they found out that boxed water, you can't recycle it, and it actually has to be lined with metal. So you're using a lot more resources than you would just to be using the plastic water bottle that can be completely recycled after using it. There is a lot of greenwashing that is going on, but some of it too is also unintentional greenwashing. Like they're trying their best. They're going out there in the market saying, oh, people don't want plastic. Okay, what do? Let's go find a non-plastic solution. And then wait, but if you look at the grand scheme of things and how much impact this is having, you're not benefiting the environment anymore. So being able to promote your green marketing and have people understand correctly how it is green and how it's helping the planet is super important. And especially for these big companies that are trying to implement these strategies, showing them that, hey, this is actually green. What we're doing is actually green. It's actually helping the planet in a certain way. So I think that's definitely very important. I'm glad you guys are running this summit to have people provide those solutions that are really green. So that's great.
And I think it's just great to be able to bring all of this into one place where people can learn from each other, because there are so many experts from around the world that will be participating in our Green Things Summit, that it really gives people a chance to come together and to look at some of the other solutions and speakers that we're going to feature, and look at what they're doing and apply it in their industry. And with them being industry leaders, it really helps make a positive impact that can be replicated around the world. So we're really excited about it.
That's super exciting. And I'd love to ask these last few questions just to wrap us up here. What are you currently learning right now?
Everything. No, but I'm actually, this week, I'm doing a lot of preparation for my keynote on green technology strategies. And every time I really dive into a topic, I'm always surprised at some of the information that am able to uncover. And one thing that I immediately put into practice that I didn't know, I thought that if your computer was asleep, that it was using pretty much a lot less energy than when it's just on. It's always using the same thing as long as it's on. So even if you have your screensaver on, it's still using pretty much the same amount of energy as during heavy usage, like when you're opening an application. It's all breaking in the same amount of energy. And so one computer left on 24 hours a day will cost about $115 to $160 annually, and dump 1,500 pounds of CO2 into the atmosphere. And surprisingly, a tree absorbs about 3 to 15 pounds of CO2 each year, which means 100 to 500 trees would needed to be offset in yearly emissions for one computer. One left on all the time.
Oh my gosh, that's crazy.
I had no idea. Now I'm like, okay, not using it, turn off the computer. If you're not using your monitor for more than 15 minutes, just turn off the monitor. But if it's more than an hour, just turn your computer off and restart it. And it's way better for the environment. I had no idea. So that's an example, but that could be applied to data centers, IoT devices, pretty much everything. So that's my one piece of advice that I would give during this. And don't throw away batteries. It's really bad for the environment.
Yeah, definitely, for sure. And it was on a podcast before where I was interviewing someone from Clever Carbon is what they were called. And they have basically they show that when you're using your phone, when it's plugged in, that's pulling energy. So if you plug it in overnight, it's still pulling energy. It's still drawing energy even after it's finished charging. So even when it's at 100%, if it's still plugged in, it's still drawing energy. So being able to show that, hey, like a lot of these things that we might not think that are drawing in energy and are consuming energy when we think they're just off, they're really pulling. And like you're mentioning, it's impacting how much energy you're using, and then it's going to be producing carbon dioxide based on how clean your grid is, all that stuff. Yeah, it's crazy how many things out there are just like, oh, I didn't even know that. And what is one tip that you might give any entrepreneur here in the audience who might be looking to grow their green business or understand how they can really start understanding marketing in a different way? What is one tip that you would give them?
Attend the Green Things Summit.
Definitely.
But always be learning, always look for new information, always keep your mind open and be creative, because what's going to really help us during these ever-changing times is innovation, being creative, and looking at things from a different perspective. But really attending the Green Things Summit and getting a better idea of all of these different technologies, all of these different approaches, all of these different things that are happening around the world, and get it all in one place, come up with some creative strategies, I would definitely recommend.
I love it. And if somebody wants to reach out to you, sign up for the Green Things Summit, how can they get in touch?
You can find me on LinkedIn, Tiffany Nielsen, TIFANINEILSON. And you can also reach me at IoTMKTG.com.
Awesome. Great. Thank you so much, Tiffany, for coming on to the Green Business Impact podcast. It's been really awesome having you on talk about the Green Thing Summit, which is coming up very soon. So we're super excited to be able to attend that and see that coming. So thank you so much for coming on the show. And I hope to have you guys back on here soon.
Thanks so much, Billy.
And if you enjoyed hearing all about the Green Thing Summit, then the easiest next step for you is now just to go to the link in the description below and register for all the reasons that we talked about during this summit. It will be an amazing opportunity for you. So don't miss out on the Green Thing Summit and get your ticket today.